All right, everybody. I have a confession to make. I have grown more and more jaded about what's going on with Newcastle United this summer. And it's been really hard for me to get motivated to even talk about it. But everything that's been going on recently makes me want to get off the sidelines and actually talk about it. Because how can you not feel like we're watching Newcastle slowly slip backward into an era that we just escaped from? We spent our years clawing our way out of the Mike Ashley era, and lately it's starting to feel like we're building a shinier version of the same damn thing. In case you've been living under a rock for the past couple of weeks, here's a brief recap. There's some more in depth articles and videos out there that you can watch about what's going on with Alexander Isak. He was promised a contract 12 to 18 months ago by Amanda Stavely, somebody that he very much trusted and very much connected with almost instantaneously after he signed. Once Stavely was forced out of the club and new sporting director Paul Mitchell came in, that promise was quickly broken. There was a lot of talk about having to claw back on any sort of player spending because of PSR. Knowing Paul Mitchell and how he doesn't like to mince words, he basically told Alexander Isak to see out his contract and just keep playing. That was the beginning of the end of this whole saga. It's not just how bad the communications really were between the club and Alexander Isak. It's a symbol of bigger cracks that are going on behind the scenes. This really isn't about the money, it's about the principle and the trust behind it. And it feels like the club's leadership is burning through all of the trust they started building when they bought the club in 2021. From the very first signing they made in Kieran Trippier all the way through people like Sven Botman and Anthony Gordon, there was this talk of a project, a talk of bringing success and glory to the Northeast finally after decades and decades and decades of pain and misery and frustration. And we finally got that first domestic trophy in the Carabao Cup. But there were also talks about winning the Premier League and challenging for European titles. There was also talks about building a stronger and deeper squad along the way, and also a new training facility that would also help them stay in shape more and also attract new players to a much more modern facility. But here's the reality. We've gone up to this summer, three straight windows without a new first team signing. We had to sell off two of our prize young players last summer just to avoid the PSR debacle. And we're in a summer where we need to fill in some big holes. And right now, that's not happening. And we're on the verge of losing our biggest asset, Alexander Isak. You also have no movement on the training ground. There's no talk about where it's going to be, let alone when they're going to break ground and when it's actually going to be finished. There's also no talks of when the stadium's going to be built, what their stadium plans are. And last November, the club said, we'll let you know by the first part of 2025. It's August of 2025. And we still have no word on what their plans are going to be. Are we going to expand St. James Park? We're building a new stadium? Who knows? In addition to breaking the trust of the players in a lot of cases, you're also breaking the fans' trust as well. Season ticket prices have started to go up. Single game ticket prices are starting to go up. Not only that, but you're also starting to see dynamic ticket pricing, where you have prices for games against one team are different than games against another team. You saw a significant increase in hospitality prices as well. Not only that, but for myself and other people as international supporters, the ability to try and get tickets in a timely manner where we can, book travel and not have to just book a plane ticket, book hotels, and pray that we're going to get a ticket in the ballot. We have been given a little bit of a lifeline there, and I'll talk about that in just a sec. But it took them nearly 3 years to do it. I've been on calls with the club and other supporters group leaders from across the United States, and we've been asking them about getting tickets for games and our ability to book them more than 2 weeks in advance. It took them until this summer to do it, after many, many months of being told, oh, it's with the lawyers. These are not the actions of a big club. These are the actions of a small club who are trying to masquerade as a big club. There have been other instances where fans have asked questions of leadership. They really haven't been given a direct or transparent answer. It's been a very manufactured PR esque response. So the lack of transparency that's been going on is really, really worrying for fans. You can't talk about trying to increase your international fan base without giving them an opportunity to come visit you in Newcastle. And you can't price out the working class heartbeat of this club and call it progress. Neither one of those things are going to be good for your fan base. And it's definitely coming to a head right now. And if you're feeling this like I am, tired of watching the club talk big and act small, hit that like and subscribe button and share this with other people who might be feeling as jaded as I am. In addition to these lack of promises by the club, you're also seeing a lack of stability in the front office. We've had two directors of football or sporting direct come and go in the last two seasons. You had Dan Ashworth come in and then leave in February when he got tapped up by Manchester United and then got fired less than a year after that. Then you have Paul Mitchell come in, and within the first month or so of being there, saying that the whole setup is not fit for purpose, and then leaving before the summer transfer window. And then he left this wake of chaos behind him. But the worst of them is our CEO situation. The PIF and the Rubens appointed a perfect person to lead this transition from the Mike Ashley era into this new era, and that was Darren Eales. Unfortunately, Darren was diagnosed with a rare form of blood cancer last September, said that he was going to be stepping down from day to day duties, and he would assist in the transition into a new CEO. There's only one problem. We're 10 months on from that, almost 11 months on from that, and we still don't have a new CEO. So, how can you transition out of a role when no one's coming in to take it? If this is what that so called elite big club era of Newcastle United leadership looks like, it looks like we're drifting backwards into the Mike Ashley small club era again. And just to wrap things up, let's reflect on what the club has said where it was headed and where it is now. It said it was going to be challenging for trophies. It said it was going to be challenging for the Premier League title. It said it would be challenging for Europe. Yes, some of those things have happened. We have qualified for the Champions League 2 of the last 3 seasons. We have won our first domestic trophy in 70 years. So yes, they have come true on some of the things that they said they were going to do. However, there's some big things that they haven't done. They haven't given us a timeline for a new stadium or an expanded St. James Park. They haven't given us any update on a training ground. There's been talk about increasing the squad depth and bolstering the quality of the squad. Yes, they have done some of that, but you still have players from the Mike Ashley era that are in the starting 11. Those players are getting up there in age, and we need to find some replacements for the future, as well as giving them some competition for their starting roles. When players know they're starting week in and week out and don't have any competition for their spot, they get a little complacent. And right now, when we're supposed to have our strongest, most important window just before we're entering the Champions League for the second time in 3 years, we're going to be in the same spot, if not worse, than we were 2 years ago. The only difference between 2 years ago and now is we won't have a star striker to carry us through it all. I really wanted to believe in this new era. I love the highs that this new era has brought us, and it's helped me get through the lows a lot easier. But right now, I'm just starting to see a lot of lows and not a lot of new highs. Maybe parts of this new era is still salvageable, but I have to say right now, it is the stupidest thing to do to insult the intelligence of the people who've been here through it all from birth or for decades, who have adopted this club as their own. And if you think that the optics of the Mike Ashley era protests were bad, keep going down this track of broken promises and lack of investment in the squad, and you'll see how much worse they are the second time around. We've been here before, and we won't be fooled again. So what do you think? Is Newcastle United about to fall off a cliff yet again? Or are we going to see a squad that's deep enough to challenge on multiple fronts for trophies, domestic and abroad? Drop your comments below, and let's talk about it. This is Adam Snyder for the Newcastle United Digest. We'll see you next time.